welcome the Vice President of Global Air Partnerships at Expedia Group, Julie Kyse, and the CEO of Skyscanner, John Mangelaars, in conversation with Skift Executive Editor and Founding Editor, Dennis Schaal.
Hey, Julie and John, thanks for being here. J&J, I'll call you. We all happen to be in Florida for various reasons, but hopefully we'll take a global perspective today. Welcome.
Hello.
Thank you.
Sure. So, we've seen so much disruption in the last 18 to 20 months. Airlines with operational problems, flight cancellations, consumers, flyers, waiting for refunds. So our topic today will be, what do flyers want given the crisis coming out of the pandemic, and how can the travel industry rebuild trust? So Julie, let's start with you. What are some of the main trends you're seeing now in consumer behavior?
Well, so one of the biggest things is that consumers are now focused on flexibility in terms of being able to change their bookings for free, being able to refund their bookings to a much greater extent than they were before. Low prices is no longer at the top of the things that people are interested in. We recently did our Expedia Traveler Value Index, and we found that especially for people over 40, that flexibility piece is particularly key. And it is tied to the fact that, as you say, the chaos that we went through at the beginning of the pandemic really did result in an erosion of traveler trust. And so people want to protect their investment in their tickets straight off the bat. And that's definitely a key trend that we're seeing on our side.
John?
Yeah, I think to build on that, I agree with Julie. There's a couple of things we're seeing as well. One is we see a lot of searching and figuring out where people can go. So, for example, our COVID map we launched had like 40 million views just to figure out, like, can I travel? Where can I travel? And when can I travel actually to the market I want to travel to? So, for example, if you have family in the United States, when can I travel? And I got another boost when we actually added like the vaccination switch. So really, it's like, where can I travel, and is it safe to travel? And then the other thing that's interesting is we're starting to see sustainability coming back. More and more interest in sustainability. It went away, I think, because of COVID. People were like having different things on their mind, but it's quickly recovering, which is quite nice to see as well.
So here's an interesting thing. People think of OTAs and meta search companies as all about cost-conscious travelers. So now you're seeing, things like flexibility being more important among travelers. So how does this, and price consciousness not as high a priority? How does this change your business?
You want to start with me? Yeah. So for instance, some real basic things, like we've made it so that customers can search on the attributes that are interesting to them, like that changeability piece, straight off the bat. We've also recently moved our upsell capabilities closer up in the funnel. So if we show customers the lowest price, but then we make sure that they understand what that price entails. What are the attributes of that fare? If it's a basic economy fare, it's pretty important that they know what they're getting, and that they know that perhaps there's another option for them that might suit their needs better. So there's a lot of that, moving that up closer in the funnel so that customers have that chance to make that informed choice much earlier in the process is a big evolution in our business.
John, go for it.
Yeah, we've done quite a bit of work on like addressing the anxiety through information. I think that's the first step. And then the other thing is quite interesting is like our customers, about 50% actually don't know where they want to go and when they want to go. So there's a lot of searching. It's not just the price. That's the ultimate outcome for some customers, but there's a lot of like planning and exploring as well. And then during COVID, we've seen that we have changed some products. So for example, COVID insurance, or where can I get tested? So we could change. That's, I think, the nice thing of the flexibility of a meta is that we can change basically the product based on the needs of a customer. It's kind of in a contextual environment. So I would say those are the things we've seen happening as well.
So have these choices, John, you talked about, consumers, clicking on the map and seeking information. I'm sure, Julie, you too see people hungering for information about, what the latest rules are and stuff. So has the pandemic and these sorts of new needs really changed your companies in any way? Julie, you want to start with that?
I mean, of course, the pandemic has changed our company, and we've really put a stronger focus on eliminating friction and improving the customer experience. I've used this so many times, it's kind of a cliche, but the river got real low and the rocks got real sharp and real obvious. And so we're trying to figure out how we can partner with our airlines to remove that friction, to make the processes a lot more smoother for customers. Our industry was built on complexity, built upon complexity, built upon complexity. And now is the time that within our own company, but also within our own partnerships, we're looking at how do we remove that complexity? How do we focus on the things that are truly necessary that will enable customers to get the services that they're entitled to get the ability to change with ease, to have it just be a process that seems painless to the customer. That's, I think, the biggest step change for us is really refocusing a tremendous amount on, why are we doing things? Are we just doing things because we've always done them that way, or because it actually makes sense for our industry?
Right. John, I mean, I look at the Skyscanner homepage. It almost looks like a TripAdvisor homepage with so much information in it. So what do you have to do to change and meet those needs?
Yeah, so we really during COVID, we changed our role from more like I would say a flight ticket provider to really an information provider. And we spend a lot of time on getting that information position in place. And funny enough, we at some point we were up there with the top 10 in the top 10 space of Google content providers, right there with newspapers. So we really shifted from the traditional supply to more of an information supply. But at the same time, we did change our search algorithm, our search structure to give more flexibility, because you see now with COVID and again with sustainability coming back that people start to look at can I extend my trip with a rail option, for example, or some governments starting to mandate the rail option. And so we have done both work on the information side, but we've also done work on the search algorithm side to make sure that we can accommodate these changing traveler behaviors, because at the end of the day, it's the traveler will define what they want to do, and is it COVID or is it sustainability? But we really got to adapt to make sure we accommodate the traveler needs.
Right. And Julie, John mentioned that a lot of consumers go to Skyscanner and they don't know where they want to travel to. And I know Airbnb has mentioned that a lot, that people don't know where they want to go, and they can point them to, consumers to new destinations that aren't subject to over tourism. So are you seeing any of that kind of behavior too? Or when people come to Expedia, do they know where they want to go?
I think it varies. We do a lot of partnerships with DMOs, destination management organizations, to try to raise awareness of particular destinations. I think right now we're in this weird period of recovery where a lot of the focus is on a very specific set of destinations. We're seeing a lot of domestic destinations, the usual suspects of Las Vegas and Miami and Orlando, to be sure. My expectation is that as the international business starts to recover more, you're going to see more targeted searches for those types of destinations. I think it's also, we're at this point, I don't know, speaking for me personally, I'm needing to get inspired again. Where is my next trip? I don't actually know. I haven't thought about it in so long that I don't have my bucket list ready. So it's an opportunity for us in the travel industry to get people, reinvigorated and jazzed about this again. And we're working with a lot of our DMO partners on that sort of thing.
Great. So there's been a lot of talk about sustainability today, and I imagine you're both seeing some sentiment, among consumers towards more sustainable choices. Are we seeing changed behavior or just nice answers to survey questions? John, you want to start?
Yeah, we do see changed behavior. Actually, to go back to the previous question, which is interesting, we see kind of waves of booking. So first, when markets are opening up, people are really looking at when can I travel, because they hadn't seen relatives for example, 2 years, or the baby was born, they've never seen the baby. Now we're seeing the booking windows opening up and getting longer, so people are starting to plan more. So I do think that the third wave is for next year spring is actually where people are really gonna be very conscious about where they want to go, and they're waiting for to be able to go there. And then we also see the sustainability question coming back. And we do see behavioral change, because when you do surveys, indeed, 2 out of 3 customers are saying, hey, we do want to have more sustainable choices. But actually in the booking environment, we also see that 1 out of 5 bookings are now already green choices. So we flag a flight as a green choice based on a certain algorithm. And we're seeing that people are actually starting to book those flights. So there is a preference for those flights.
What is a green choice about flights?
And basically, we calculate based on the route, on the aircraft. We have an algorithm, and if it's like 4 or 5% less than the average, we flag it as a green choice. So it's basically 4% less carbon footprint.
And Julie, are you seeing changed behavior as well?
We're definitely, as you say, people respond positively in surveys saying that they would want to choose a green option if they could. We definitely see that sentiment being really strong in Europe, starting to come up in the United States, especially with the younger crowd. I think one of the challenges we have as an industry, though, is that there is kind of a lack of standard and a lack of understanding of what it means to be a good choice. The way John explained it right there, that makes perfect sense, but it's not part of the vernacular. The analogy I use is when you go to a fast food restaurant and they have counts, you kind of know what a good decision looks like and what a bad decision looks like, but that's because we all understand what calorie counts mean. And so as sustainability becomes more and more part of the dialogue, I'm hoping that becomes something that people become a little bit more familiar with and understand what the trade-offs are that they're making as they're making their purchase decisions.
And John, I think you've done something in France regarding rail choices. Could you explain that?
Yeah, there's we're implementing as we speak, because the laws are happening. So basically, we see in Europe, for example, governments being much more aggressive on carbon footprints. So we, for example, in countries like France, when the flight is only less than 2 hours, I believe, you're not allowed to take a flight. You're not allowed to offer a flight. That's kind of the law that's going to go into effect. So our search options need to basically support that. Like when the flight is too short, we need to show rail, and that's what we're implementing as we speak. Another thing we're doing is on sustainability is the collaboration with Travelist. We're one of the founding members, and where we basically try to set an industry standard and share this like public intellectual property so anybody can adopt that. And recently also Google joined. So we're starting to build an industry platform that actually creates this sort of like, what is the standard Julie is talking about, so people know what we mean by a green choice, and we get over our pride and start work together with competitors to start driving that, and that I think that's a good initiative as well.
And Julie, I guess we don't have that array of rail choices in the U.S. that Europe might have, right?
That's true. I mean, it's not as substitutable, or it's not viewed as a substitutable product right now. It'll be interesting to see in the coming years as sustainability, as infrastructure gets more invested in, if that becomes something where it becomes substitutable. I used to live in Washington, D.C. Easy to take the train to New York, easy to fly to New York. There's trade-offs on both sides, but not in the U.S. as much as it is in Europe.
And Julie, what are you seeing as far as flyers' choices in terms of seat preferences, and what are you seeing about business travel? How strong whether it's coming back strongly, or how do you view it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's still early days for business travel. You're certainly starting to see some, especially from sort of small to medium enterprises. You're seeing a bit more travel there. Those are entrepreneurs who have to get out and to meet their clients in order to do business. Starting to see some conferences take place in person, others still on that sort of virtual side like we are today. I think one of the big keys for return of business travel is going to be a widespread return to office. And hopefully we'll see that in the new year. I know that I've been on the road a lot more. I'm seeing more and more of my colleagues on the road, but it's still, I think, a bit of a novelty. There's still a lot of people who were traditional business travelers who are still fairly grounded. And our partners are expressing that to us. We're seeing that in some of the average ticket prices. They still remain pretty low because we don't have that business demand flying on the airplanes at this point.
I'll ask both of you. Start with John. So in your view, what do airlines want from your company?
Well, I sort of quickly back into my resume. I ran quite a large distribution team in Microsoft way back when, And what we always looked at is like there's 4 things you have to provide as a distribution partner in the supply chain. One is you have to basically bring customers that are hard to find for the basically the brand owner. You have to improve the yield. You have to showcase the product, and you have to decrease cost. And that's so everything we do working with airlines is focused on those 4 things. And I also think that's something an online travel agent should really do, like, really focused on those 4 things, like bring customers you can't find yourself, improve the yield, showcase the product, and decrease the cost. And there's another thing we have seen coming in now as part of COVID, which is data, because all the trends have been disrupted, like when people travel, like how yield would work. And we have real-time data from our network, like we have millions and millions of customers in our network, the people that are exploring before they actually book. So we have like a heads up before the booking happens. And we see now our role in data also growing. So we provide more and more data to airlines. And the beauty is that actually what we're seeing is like when the surge has happened and people figured out they can travel somewhere, the conversion is higher. So our data is very helpful to predict behavior that's going to happen on the airline side, because still like the transaction will happen on the airline side, but we also have plenty of people that search in Skyscanner and actually go to the airline side to make the booking. That's, I think, something people don't realize sometimes, but like we're a very open marketplace where people either like search and don't book, or they end up booking, or so we have a very hybrid role there, and that's the data part is very interesting now, which is growing as we speak.
And Julie, what do you think airlines want from Expedia?
Yeah, I think that it's fairly consistent with what John said, but I will dig in deeper on a couple of things, one of which is around increasing the yield. So we are known for providing a lot of scale, a lot of volume to airlines, not always at the highest yield. And one of the challenges that we have is we have an open marketplace where we sell 500 different airlines, whereas on airline.com, they sell their own product, maybe 4 or 5 iterations of it. So we're working with our airline partners to get better at that and to, like I said, move that process up in the funnel to try to make sure customers have informed choices, that they actively decide that they want a basic economy or the lowest fare, because some of them do, and that's okay. But we want to make sure it's an active decision and that they've been given all of the information they possibly can in order to make the right decision for them, which oftentimes will result in better yield for the partner. And the other thing that we're working on with our partners is helping them to focus on the things that they do well. As COVID has happened, they've reduced their workforce, but they still have a desire to sell ancillary products. So for instance, through our Expedia Partner Solutions team, we offer hotel and car inventory on our airline partners' websites and mobile apps. We call it only do what only you can do. And airlines are great at running airlines, and we're really great at merchandising hotel, car packages. We'll help you to build that business. And that's been very successful for us at coming out of the pandemic. And I expect it to be a growing part of our business going forward. Great.
So I always like to stir it up a little bit. So I'll ask both of you, John as a Skyscanner, a meta-search company, and Julie as an OTA, Expedia, which is in a better position to help airline partners? So I'll ask John first. Is it a meta-search agency like Skyscanner, or is it an OTA, or is it all kumbaya and equal?
Well, I'm not sure if it's equal. I think it's different. I think that they can coexist. I believe there's 3 types of customers. That's my view. There's a customer that, like, let's start with myself. Like, we are a very broad, open network with a lot of choices and a lot of partners in a very high volume. That provides a lot of options for travelers, but also for airlines. And like what Julie was describing, improving yield, like with our facilitated booking path, we work on those things as well. So we improve yield by airline. We have like a bespoke environment for each airline. So that stuff we're doing as well. But having said that, like I said, we have just a different model, which is very broad, very open. It's where people can participate, a lot of choice and a lot of information. So I believe there's 3 types of customers. There is the airline customer that's very loyal to the specific airline. It was just in the previous session where the lady was talking about, like, she still prefers 2 airlines because when there's a disruption, she might get a preferred treatment to come home. Then there is, I think, the meta customer, which is a customer that's brand loyal, but that explores a lot, that searches a lot. That's really an explorer. And then I would argue, and Julie can agree or disagree on, there's an OTA customer, which is more a contained, a little bit less choice, but has an end-to-end service that's being provided. And it's just a customer choice. And so far, so good. I think there's a lot of activity in the industry, and I do believe that there will be less players because doing each of those right is just a big task, and will take a lot of investments. And therefore, I think there will be in each bucket there will be significant players, but not as many as there were before.
And Julie, I mean, you talked about selling ancillaries before. I'm not sure Skyscanner sells ancillaries. Maybe they do. But do you think Expedia is in a better position and OTAs in general are in a better position? I mean, John's parent company is an OTA, but how would you answer that question?
So I would actually say that I would encourage you to think of us as more than an OTA. And so that's part of why I think we're in a good position to support our airline partners. The OTA side, we absolutely deliver on, that brand promise that John was talking about. We provide them demand, we provide them with that end-to-end servicing, and a lot of great stuff at scale. But it's really more about like, how do we help power the industry? How do we help with data? How do we help them make good decisions about their network planning, their revenue management? How do we help them sell things on their own site, become better e-commerce marketers themselves? And so to me, that's where Expedia has the benefit is our ability to power the entire industry in that respect, and to drive value across a wide array of things for partners, for customers, and for ourselves.
So I wanted to get into the area of trust. So this isn't just an airline problem or an OTA problem. It's sort of a dirty little secret. I've been talking to a few people in the last few days, and service levels pretty much, I would say, across the airline industry, across the hotel industry, have really plummeted. You go into a hotel and, there's not much housekeeping going on. The restaurants are closed. On an airline, you can't get a drink anymore. Flight attendants are under duress. Airport lounges are overcrowded. How does the travel industry restore trust? And can each of your companies play a role in that? John, you want to start with that?
Yeah, I think the first thing goes back to the people feeling safe, because we have to get them on a plane, and before you can give them services. And because when people start traveling again, you basically you make money, and when you can make money, you can reinvest. So I totally understand like where airlines are coming from and where everybody's coming from, which is like, everybody was in survival mode. So yeah, you can't judge people. I think all bets are off, and people are just trying to figure out how to survive. Having said that, now we need to make sure that we get people to travel again, which starts with this confidence, this trust, and to show things like, okay, where can you travel? Where it's safe to travel? Which airlines are like, the safest airlines from a hygiene perspective, and those kind of things. So that is something we can certainly do. We're also ramping up the whole destination marketing game. We see actually, which is also I think a good leading indicator, that our advertising business is actually back to 2019 levels. So we're seeing destinations like really investing in promoting their destinations. I think that's certainly going to help. So as we get through this wave of travelers, first like people who want to see their relatives, hadn't seen them, now it's sort of semi-necessary travel, and then the third one is the wave that people are going to be inspired and they want to go to fun destinations again. And we as a provider really focus on making sure people feel safe, and then people are inspired. And then I think where the airline industry is helping us, and which we're promoting, is like the flexibility of the tickets. Like in the past, 95% of the bookings were like non-flex tickets, and now it's the other way around. It's 95% is flex tickets. So having that whole cycle lined up, I think, is something we can do. And then we have to continue to do the basics, which indeed is like the add-on products, like with bags and seats and fare families and what have you, to make sure that people actually can make the right booking, because there's still this need for people, or the desire for people to have this good deal which fits for them. So that is something we will continue to do.
Julie, the trust issue, what can Expedia do?
Yeah, I think that, it's hard to talk about like being on board the airplane and us having an impact on that part of the experience. But I think one of the things that's important is that our customers, whether they're purchasing a hotel or an airline ticket, that they kind of know what to expect when they get on that journey. And that's, making sure that they have the information about any kind of COVID restrictions or about cleanliness, as John was mentioning, making sure that they know if the hotel facilities are not in operation. So that's part of it. That's the sort of the pre-stay experience. And then there's also the ongoing service experience. And we've invested a lot in our customer service. Even as the volume's been down, we actually recruited 500 more customer service reps to add to our 6,000. We've invested a lot into our virtual agent platform, which allows customers to do self-service for about 80% of the use cases, cancel, change, ask for a refund, all of those core things, so that it makes it easier for those customers to deal with problems when they arise. But it's true that our industry was not built for this kind of chaos. And so we need to collectively work together to reduce those sorts of things, to modernize the technology that drives things like schedule changes and rescheduling and the irregular operations. And that's something that we're prepared to work with our partners on. It's of the utmost importance to us.
Yeah, just what is interesting though is people forget quickly, right? It's like where I travel still quite a bit myself, and I see at the airport people are walking around. Well, they have a face mask, but like as if nothing has happened. So I think the beauty, not the beauty, but I think the hope is that people forget quickly. If we start ramping up in a proper way and we inform people properly and we get them excited about travel again, I think they'll forget very quickly. So, and that's what you're seeing is like these expanding booking windows. As a side sort of business I'm seeing is that people are looking for more secure ways or more safe ways of travel, like avoiding like the crowd and stuff like that. So there might be actually a business or actually something airports can do to also help us bring that sort of confidence in travel back through making it more comfortable for people to get through the airport. That might be something we could gain there as an industry.
A quick Booking.com related question. Julie, Booking.com never had flights before. And now, Priceline, their sister company, always had flights. Booking.com focused on hotels. Now Booking.com has started a flight business, and I think it's in 27 countries now. Does that change anything for you? Or I'm sure it's small at this point, but how do you view that?
I don't like to look at my business in the lens of what others are doing. I think our key is to focus on having great customer experience, great service experience, and we believe that will help us win the day.
John?
Yeah, I agree with Julie. Like we're very focused on making sure we do the right thing for the traveler. We understand them. We improve our research. So when they're looking for a flight to Chicago, we know if it's a business traveler or like a holiday traveler. We want to match it with a great partner. We invest in making sure they end up with the right partner and those kind of things. And yeah, there will always be like good rivals to learn from and to push the industry forward. But I do believe we need good rivals in the industry to really push forward and make the right investment. So yeah, I actually welcome people investing in our industry because the more investments we get, the better we get for travelers and for partners, and then we'll all move forward.
And with a minute left, here's an easy question. The future of metasearch, the future of online travel agencies, bright future, or 5 years from now, what's it going to look like? Julie?
I'm as optimistic as I've ever been in the industry, and I've been in this industry since 1995. I think that we have a once-in-a-generation opportunity to reinvent things for customers and for our partners, and I'm really excited about the future.
John, is metasearch dead, or does it have a future?
No, it certainly has a future, I think, but it will evolve to like more of an open marketplace where like we are flight at the core, but there was hotels and cars. But you see now so much innovation in the industry. I saw like an RV marketplace, like there's like tours, there's like experiences, and you all want to connect those into the traveler experience and want to bring those to the traveler. So I truly believe that like the meta will evolve to like a marketplace where all these things come together. But we as Skyscanner will continue to be very flight centric and work with airlines to make sure we provide a great service to them, and then bring the travelers in to basically fill the aircrafts and improve the yield, but also provide extra service to travelers so they like to come to our platform to explore and to book.
Excellent. We're out of time. I thank you both very much, and see you soon, hopefully.
Hopefully in person.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dennis. Bye, Julie.
Thank you.